Everybody. So today I wanted to talk about something which I think is fundamental to being able to play charts for the guitar, which is rhythmic reading. Okay, we're just going to work a little bit on some eighth note material from Charlie Parker, and I just want to teach you how I would go about reading it and what's actually helped me in terms of how I read, for what it's worth. Okay, so. I'm going to write out 8 bars here. Now, we're going to work on building up a vocabulary of things we can recognise from the page. But I'm going to start off with just talking about what's called the invisible bar line rule. So in any given bar of music, written out jazz pop music, we usually put a sort of invisible bar line down the middle, which means that you can't write rhythms across that. So I'll just give you an example. For instance, this rhythm here would be written out this way. And this aids reading comprehension because actually we can split the bar into 2 halves. And what I suggest is, like, rather than counting things out, aim to sound them in your head as little rhythmic cells. Okay, so I'm going to give you a very concrete example. We're going to take bar 4. And if you notice, we've got these, even though the notes are different, the 2 rhythms in both halves of the bar are identical. And can you see how they're beamed together in groups of 4 notes? So each group of 4 is like da-ba-da-ba and da-ba-da-ba, for instance, or da-ga-do-mi if you'd like to use that system. But I think da-ba-da-ba, da-ba-da-ba sounds more jazz to me, right? Da-ba-da-ba, 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 da-ba-da-ba. Okay, so that's da-ba-da-ba. Now, if we look around, we can see some other da-ba-da-bas. Da-ba-da-bas even. We can see them in bar 5. We can see one in bar 6. We can see one in bar 7. Okay, and we can see one in the previous bar 3. So, for instance, if we go from the second half of bar 3, it's da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Okay? Right. So that's not the only rhythm we got. We've got some other rhythmic cells here as well. Here's an important one for Charlie Parker. If you look at the first bar, we have a couple of triplets, and they're on beats 2 and 4. So in the first example, we're on the upbeat, so it's da-ba-ba-da. So I almost like kind of sub-vocalize that rest, so it's ba-da-ba-da. So you can see there's a quaver rest at the start, or an 8th note rest, and then the first note, that C sharp, happens on the upbeat, so ba-da-ba-da. And then the next half of the one is basically very similar. The next half of the bar, is very, very similar, apart from the fact that we have 2 quavers at the start, so it's doobeedoobeedoo, ba-da-ba-da-da, ba-da-ba-da. So now, have we got any other examples of that rhythmic cell? Yes, we do. In the bar 5, da-ba-da-ba-da-doobeedoo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-da, okay? I'm reading from bar 5 to 6 there. I'm ignoring the 2 notes at the end. But you can see that there's that big note, the crotchet, or quarter notes it's called, which sits there on beat 3 of bar 6. So we've got another couple of rhythms we need to decipher before we move on. In bar 2, we have, this looks a little bit more complicated than it is. It's just literally da-da-da. So it's da-da-da. It's da-de-de, if you ever did like basic reading at school. So it's just like, a little quaver with a quaver rest, which is the same thing as a crotchet, or a quarter note played, staccato. Then it's 2/8. So da-da-da, that's the first half. And we get a little syncopated rhythm, ba-ba, ba-da. Then the second half, right? Moving on. Da-da, da-da, sh, da-da. You might do a shush at the start. So just reading through all of that. Da ba ba da ba ba da ba dee ba ba da dee da 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 dee da boom ba doom ba dee ba da bo da ba dee ba bo da boom ba. And now we've got those 2 little semiquavers or 16th notes at the end of that 6th bar. So ba da. They're really quick. Ba da dee ba doom ba dee ba. And the last rhythm there is bebop. Can you see that? So bebop. When you see that, either tied like that or just those 2 8th notes in isolation, that's da-ba-da bebop. Okay? That's where the name of the musical style comes from, bebop. So, da ba ba dee ba ba da ba dee ba ba da dee ba. Ba da dee ba doo ba doo ba doo ba doo ba doo ba da bo da ba dee ba bo da bo dee ba ba. Da ba dee ba dee ba dee bop. And that's how you read Charlie Parker's rhythms. Now, that won't prepare you for everything. Obviously, like if you look at if you're into sort of 16th note rhythms, then you break the bar into 4 modules of 16th notes. But actually, you'll find that even though they're sort of written, with an extra line over the top, because they're half the notational durations, actually all the rhythmic cells are precisely the same. So for funk and stuff. Apparently, there is a story that when the jazz guys first joined the Wrecking Crew and started doing like, because they're all jazz guys in the Wrecking Crew, right? Like Barney Kessel and all, Carol Kay and all those people. When they first saw pop charts in the 60s, they found them really confusing, so they were written out in 16th notes. But then they realised that they were exactly the same rhythms, just written out differently, and then there was no stopping them. So maybe another video, but I think that'll probably be enough to get started on. I hope you find that useful and find reading rhythms less intimidating. If you read rhythms well, then it's a great skill to have because you're much less likely to get lost in music, and you're going to sound much better in ensembles, because if you play the wrong rhythm, you're likely to stick out really badly. Whereas if you play the wrong note with the right rhythm, it's usually less of a problem, and you can always work on getting that right note later on. So thanks for watching. I hope you find that helpful. I'll see you soon.